Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. The post-its are getting filled. I've been procrastinating. We need this Maggie run, and let's plan. We want to go, well, it's normal path, okay, and our seed is 63MO, my favorite android from the Star Trek universe in FP2Y. I don't know if I've ever seen that room before in my life. 3 red chests. I am a fool. Yo, that, for the first time I've seen the invisible hand benefit me. Those enemies slowed down before they were about to hit me. It was like they realized that the situation had been unfair, and they decided, hey, let's cut this guy a little bit of a break. Well, the joke's on you, I don't need a break. If I did, give me a Kit Kat bar. I'm trying to think. You know, again, first off, I can't see anything at all. I don't want to speak about that. That was very bad. This is a tough one. We can't take both or we'll die. So I think we'll take Dark Bum, because we're going to be getting rid of Yum Heart on this floor, probably to get an extra item room. It's my expectation, at least. How would we do that? Well, we would do that by taking the Forget-Me-Now that's available in the item room. But first. Anyway, in Isaac episodes, you know, if a thought comes to your brain, and this is a question that comes up all the time, people are like, how do you talk to yourself for hours and hours and hours at a time? There's no such thing as stupid questions. There's no such thing as bad topics of conversation. If something pops into your brain, you have an obligation to yourself to explore it, because you never know where it might lead. What I was gonna ask, we don't need that last room, was when was the last time you purchased a candy bar or a chocolate bar? I'm not talking about candy. I'm trying to get a bead by doing a plebiscite of adults. If you're under the age of 16 years old, I would expect that within the last 2 weeks you probably purchased a chocolate bar. I remember what life was like in high school. In 9th grade, multiple times per week I would purchase chocolate bars. Go down to the corner store. Give me a Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I'm hungry. The Hershey Corporation, they had their claws in all of us. Yo, Mr. Dolly is insanely good. Yes. As an adult, I want to point out, I'm not necessarily the embodiment of a healthy lifestyle, but I don't really purchase candy or chocolate. We were given some chocolate. It's the only way I inherit chocolate. It's the only way I get it in today's modern world. I would much rather spend my junk calories on like potato chips or something like that. But you know, when my friend from San Francisco with his wife was here, they brought us some Ghirardelli's chocolates, and you know, every now and then I'll have like a little square of Ghirardelli's chocolate, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, I guess, but I don't know. I go into the convenience store, and there's just some things I see in there, and I'm like, it's not for me, and that's okay. I will take number 2. Remember, this is still our first floor, so we're a little bit behind schedule if we want to do boss rush, but we should accelerate faster as a result of the fact that we're going to get an extra item in the process. Yeah, just walk through that so you can save a bomb by farting one out right there. Really good idea. That yielded a single penny. You could do like a real poll for this if you want. It's not like I'm the first person to come up with this information. I'm sure we could just pay hundreds or perhaps even thousands of dollars to some kind of consumer trends newsletter, and they'd be like, well, the most popular chocolate bar in Canada is a Coffee Crisp, and blah, 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 blah. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just curious, okay? I'm gonna split you up into a few camps, okay? Please only answer this poll if you're over the age of 18. I'm not trying to shame you for buying it, by the way. Again, I buy things that are bad for me all the time. Now, if you're over the age of 18, when was the last time you purchased a chocolate bar? A, within the past week. B, within the past month. C, within the past year. Or D, further away than 1 year from the present day. Just curious. Just want to know. I'm pretty sure that I'm in the further away than 1 year ago camp. At least one that I purchased for my own consumption, to the best of my knowledge. I don't know, maybe the only loophole would be like a Halloween loophole. Sometimes, you know, I won't buy it, but my wife will buy like some Halloween candy or something like that. Take me down to the next floor. Loving this run so far. Just don't see it that often. Just don't get it that often. You know, there's entire lines of products I don't interact with in my entire life. I'm at the grocery store. Here's the thing. At our grocery store, there's like 2 aisles that are specifically gluten-free. Gluten-free, organic, particularly snacks. They're like, it's potato chips, but we took all the gluten out. And you're like, I don't really think I want those. And then you're like, wait a minute, kettle cooked. Gluten-free, could it be? Really good damage there. I noticed a striking disparity. There's a chain. I don't know if it's in British Columbia or the rest of the world. It's called T&T Supermarkets. It's an Asian grocery store, really a Chinese grocery store. So they sell a lot of imported products and also a lot of like cuts of meat that you wouldn't typically see at like your classic little, you know, Great Canadian Superstore or something like that. Justice card. At the other grocery stores we go to, they have a gluten-free section. In the frozen food section of T&T Supermarkets, they literally have a bag, and the bag says fried gluten on it. There's something for everybody. I never interact with that. I feel like fried gluten just seems like... I don't even know if it's bad for you, I just don't know what it is. I was like, where do you get gluten? Isn't gluten what happens when you, like... knead bread too much? It's like a complex arrangement of carbohydrates from overworking dough or something like that. I will say, I don't live a gluten-free lifestyle, but I'm I wouldn't say anti-gluten, but I don't like the taste of gluten that much, you know? Well, let me put it this way. I like a little gluten. I like a modest amount of gluten, if possible. We're back on schedule, by the way. It's kind of amazing. Like, I don't want a gluten-free bread. I've had gluten-free breads. If you suffer from gluten intolerance or, you know, celiac, I apologize, but, you know, it's just the way it is. Like, bread with gluten tastes better than bread without gluten. I can't say objectively, because that would be an irresponsible thing to say, but I truly believe that it's close to objective. But I also don't really like, you know, like Korean and Japanese rice cakes that much, like, you know, dak or dok, I guess, or mochi. It's just too chewy. Also, Kate told me, I mean, I'll eat them, but Kate told me that in Japan, like, at least half a dozen people die every year from getting mochi stuck in their throat. I have to feel like any food that kills 6 people a year directly, I'm not saying it warrants legislation, but I guess I would just consider, you know, for me personally, like, you know, whether or not I actually want to eat it. Now, of course, you know, hamburgers are probably responsible for, like, you know, maybe 1,000 deaths annually in North America alone, but we don't really think of it like that because they're, you know, it's not like you eat the hamburger and then it pulls out a gun and shoots you in the gut, you know? It's more like 30 years later, you're like, I don't feel so good, and then you have a heart attack, you know? But the mochi, it gets you right there in your throat. I always feel like, you know, I was very, for a period of my adolescence, I was very afraid of choking to death. Now I'm not, but I would like meticulously, almost like obsessively chew my food until one day, and this is why I don't necessarily disagree with a tough love philosophy. My parents were like, hey, stop doing that, you're being weird. You know, as an adult, you want to like go out to a restaurant and you chew your food 1,000 times before you eat it, people are going to be like, what's wrong with this guy? And I was like, you know what, you're right. And then I just, you know, swallowed a carrot after chewing it 3 times, and I was like, this is way better. Saves me a lot of time in the process. I always feel like it's a cosmic joke. Like if you were to die choking on something, it really highlights the fragility of human existence, you know? Let's donate some. 200 cents might give us something. We're making okay progress on this thing. Store upgrade level 3. Let's keep it there for now. We might need some money to make this run work. I doubt it, but it's possible. Like, when you died... Like, if you're choking and the hope goes out of your brain, you're like, I'm alone. I shouldn't have been eating all this frozen mochi. Wouldn't you just feel betrayed by evolution or by a benevolent creator? You'd be like, come on, dude. The same tube for air is the tube that gets clogged with food. You couldn't have given me like 2 throats. You gave me 1 tube for pee and 1 tube for poop. And yet, food goes in the same hole. I'm just saying, they can divert them. You get liquid and solid through the same tube, and then they go out of 2 different tubes. Now, I understand that that's not exactly how the gastroenterological system works, or gastrointestinal system. It's not like things you drink get peed out and things you eat get pooped out. You know, your body processes it and then sorts the waste into the most appropriate category, like a body recycling plant. But still, I'm just saying, they've demonstrated they can do 2 tubes. Why not 1 for air and 1 for food? I don't want this. I'm mad. Dude, our rate of fire is amazing. Still could use some damage, but our rate of fire is really, really good here. I think I told it recently, but yeah, there was probably like for 3 months of my life when I was like 10. 3 months is not really a long time, but I was paranoid that I was gonna choke. I think I accidentally like almost choked on something, and then for the next 3 months I was like, well, I guess this is what my life is like, is being paranoid every time I swallow. Now, eating is like my favorite thing in the world. So, you know, it's just proof that, you know, you can get over it eventually. It causes its own sort of problems, I guess, but hey, 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 hey! I'm just saying, if you did Human 2.0, dude, this has been showing up all the time lately. Dark matter. Same with black powder, but if you're doing Human 2.0, you're doing 2 tubes. That's all I'm saying. If you were to refactor humanity, you're getting double tubes. I hate the face that I'm looking at now. I didn't even talk about it, but we're going for Win 10. And not of the Windows variety. Doesn't mean as much. Because, I hate this room. We need the poop. We need the poop. Not in real life, but also, like, are you offering? What a strange way to describe, or to interface with a bowel movement. You offering? Nah, but we needed to do some crowd control there. We got pretty lucky here. I am going to try to blow this guy up. Hey, lucky toe. Decent item. My hope was that we could get Diplopia and then get like 1 of each item. And I'm still kind of tempted to do so. It's a little wonky. And it was mildly dangerous, but you know what? I think I'll actually try to double the strength card as well. Why not, right? And the boomerang is not worth a whole heck of a lot, but Wheel of Fortune. At least we got it sorted. Oh, you're not paying out yet, huh? I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit. That was a pretty good play. Now just don't immediately step on the spikes and ruin it for yourself. I know we can use the boomerang to get the money, but here's, like, there's a real world conversion. I don't think it's worth my time on planet Earth to use the boomerang to grab a single penny over and over and over. The I hate number 2. Okay. You know what? Good lesson to be learned. Don't fight the system just yet. Just accept you've got number 2. Well, you have low HP. Try not to, you know, take dumb damage by being an absolute fool. Stop shooting from time to time to reset your number 2 counter. It is a good item. I will go to bat for number 2. The only thing is we don't want to go to bat for it right now because we keep accidentally shooting behind us or shooting the bomb behind us and leading to some dangerous situations. Good boss fight though. Methodical boss fight. HP. We're rolling. Oh my god, I just thought I saw a ghost. I don't believe in ghosts. I'm gonna spare you the fact that I've gone through this many times in my life. I believe that if ghosts really existed, there would be some sweet YouTube videos and not merely like people telling stories about how like a painting fell down in their house. But you can believe in whatever you want to believe. That's the center of my ethos for life and for interacting with other people. Maybe this is a luxury that I have, but in my opinion, I can get down with most opinions. I'm not gonna say almost any opinion, because there's obvious, like, counter examples here that I couldn't conceivably agree with, but, you know, you could have almost any opinion, and as long as you're not a piece of garbage about it, let's go. No, I need it. You're okay by me. You know, if you believe that, you know, gravity is just a theory, and actually it's like, you know, there's very strong magnets in the center of the world that are pulling us down, more power to you. If you're a flat earther, more power to you. These are anti-scientific opinions. As I've gotten older, I've cared less about whether or not someone's opinion is scientifically accurate and more about whether or not it's damaging to the world. Is having a flat earth hypothesis damaging to the world? Well, yes, because the collective forehead bruises due to people face palming, it goes up. But at the same time, you know, if you raise your kids right, you teach them good values, you give to charity, you're nice to your neighbors and the people around you in your community, okay, fine, be a flat earther. If you're Neil deGrasse Tyson and you're leaving dog poops on your neighbor's lawn, you're a dick. So I don't really mind if you believe in ghosts. I mean, I watched, you know, Dark Tourism. I've talked about it. Oh, we're not making Boss Rush. A couple of times. Here was a show that, you know, it was a noteworthy Netflix original. It wasn't quite like, you know, Narcos level or something like that. But for a month, people were kind of like talking about it. And there's an episode where he goes into the Japanese suicide forest. And then one of the guides that he takes with him is like, there's spirits here trying to pull me down into hell. And I was like, that's gonna be a yikes from me, dog. But like, again, more power to you. And then the tour, or not the tour guide, but the host of the show is like, you know, is it safe for me to be here? And she's like, yeah, the spirits only want me. And I was like, lady, it seems like you're making this a little bit about you. I'm not trying to... It just seems like you're using your own... You have like a persecution complex with these ghosts. Like, you're telling me that these ghosts... They exist in some kind of spiritual, ethereal plane, and yet they spend their infinite... Wow, no secret room here, huh? They spend their infinite days thinking about how they're going to torture a middle-aged Japanese woman that, you know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You'd think they would have bigger ambitions than that. Like, why is a ghost's life so small, you know? Anyway. Disregarding that. I think that was an actual ghost. What percentage of the population in North America do you think believes in actual ghosts? Like, spirits from the other world having an effect on this current world? You think it's above 1/3? It's dangerous territory, because, like, if it's above 1/3, there's probably people watching this episode that are like, it's 100%. What percentage of the population believes in ghosts? USA Today. Alright. No, that's fine. No, you don't get to send me push notifications. No, you don't get to play an advertisement for... In a recent survey by Realtor.com... No, wait. A HuffPost/YouGov poll of 1,000 people suggests about 45% of people believe in ghosts. Some 32% said ghosts or spirits can hurt living people. Wow. By the way, I will never go back to the USA Today website. I got like 4 pop-ups. Please support the USA Today. Look, you can't do that, okay? This is like the same, you know, when YouTubers, they start an episode by saying, if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe. I'm fundamentally opposed to that. They haven't watched the video yet. Maybe it works. I'm not begrudging you. You know, YouTube, I guess, is sort of like an algorithmic science, but like, you know, I ain't ever interfaced with the USA Today except for you being the first search result for this article. So no, I'm not gonna pay you $3 a month just because I had read your article on ghosts. If you establish yourself as having a history of, competent journalism that appeals to me, I might consider it, but realistically, probably not. Because maybe I'd subscribe to, Canada Today. But I don't subscribe to any newspaper. Because I am a millennial. And also, newspapers make my hands all inky and weird. Is the way that you're making me feel tonight. I will say, it's really had a negative impact on my sense of humor, though, because I haven't been able to read the funny pages in a long time. What is Kathy up to? What is Garfield up to? Do they still hate Mondays? I hope so. I hope they haven't changed. What does Garfield dream of when he takes a little Garfield snooze? Does he dream of eating lasagna? I have a bone to pick. It's a very, it's a scatterbrained episode of unrelated anecdotes. Mentioned it many times. We have, it's not really a meal prep service. It varies. It's Blue Apron, more or less, but like a local version. Sometimes they deliver what is essentially almost a completed meal that just needs to be, reheated. And not quite, but the assembly is like, hey, cook the chicken, cook the rice, and then put them together with this sauce. Okay, fair enough. I know you, by the way, sometimes the internet, they think they got everything figured out. They're like, why don't you just buy that from the grocery store yourself? Yeah, and I mean, I lived alone for almost a decade. I'm familiar with how to cook meals for myself. I wasn't eating Kraft macaroni and cheese all the time. Who do you think I am? DoorDash didn't even exist back then. You had 2 delivery options. Pizza, Chinese food. That's it. Sometimes, though, like last night, the meal is just too long to be convenient anymore. And I got a real bone to pick with them. Last night's... The reason we got this, by the way, is twofold. One is, cooking the meals is kind of an adventure because, when you plan your own meals, you have 2 options. One is... cook things you know you already like, which is fine, but a little dull after a while. Every time you go to the grocery store, unless you're a real creature of habit, you're like, okay, so excited to get, 4 chicken breasts and, a bag of chickpeas and blah, blah. You get the idea. So you get to experience a new meal variety. And then the other one is that it's a little bit more convenient most of the time. But that convenience went out the window last night. There was an Italian cream soup with chicken in it. Chicken, mushrooms, etc., etc. Really, really good. Delicious, tasty. However, the first step of the recipe was baking your own Cheddar Bay biscuits. And I went, come on, guys, it's a friggin' Monday. Who out there, and I feel for me, because I was the one that cooked it, and I have to say, it turned out really well through no agency of my own. It was mostly the recipe that did the heavy lifting, but I have free time. I make my own hours. School doesn't start for another 3 or 4 days. When I get a recipe and it's this is going to take me 45 minutes to cook, sure, that's fine. But you're a working professional, maybe you got kids, you come home from work at 5 p.m., you're like, okay, what's in the bag today? Oh, cool, awesome. I wanted a nice, convenient dinner, but it starts with bake your own bread. Really appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, it's a first world problem. This channel would be a lot less entertaining if I only talked about problems that were not mundane. I'm not saying my life is hard, I'm just saying, oh, My macronutrient complete meal took longer than I expected to cook last night. Okay. Sure. I mean, I live in a developed part of the world, okay? I can't act like anything in my life, really, like with a few exceptions, anything I complain about is destined to be a mild inconvenience, because that's what my life is like. It's just, like, mostly playing video games inside this, like, 5x5 box, and then, like, mild inconveniences. And being like, I'm not really upset, but couldn't we make this a little bit easier? So we will take Jar of Flies, dude. I don't know, this run's getting a little touchy. I think it's mostly, like, rate of fire, amazing. Damage could use some work. HP as well, but I do need to point out, I think, that, if nothing else, Skeleton Key is exceptionally good for us because it's an item that's unlikely to show up. So to get Skeleton Key knocks one fairly rare item off the list. I didn't look at the other meal. We get 2 meals a week from these guys. But I didn't look at the details, but when I picked up the bag, one of them was like a chicken fricassee, which is what we had last night. Fricassee? I don't know. It was one of those meals that I feel like I heard about all the time, but it might have just been from The Sims. Like goopy carbonara. The other one is coffee leaf cod, and I just have no idea what to expect out of that. Because first off, I had to roll through it in my head. I was like, coffee leaf? Do you mean coffee bean? And coffee fish sounds terrible, but I guess, you know, coffee grows on a plant. There must be a coffee leaf, otherwise, like, you know, how is it photosynthesizing? Fair enough, right? Look at that. 4 years of undergraduate education at what used to be one of Canada's top 3 universities before a series of controversies hit the school and has now pushed it a little bit further down the list. But anyway, the point is, I never had coffee leaf before. But I almost, like, it's a sponsored meal. Because they also included coffee leaf tea, which I'll get to that, but was from another company. Like, I opened up the bag and there was an ad for this coffee leaf tea and then, like, a sampler. And I was like, I don't know, am I paying to be advertised to now? Also, what the heck is coffee leaf tea? Like, at that point, it just sounds like you're trying too hard. You're making this up. Coffee leaf tea? Could you make tea leaf coffee? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I think I am going to dice shard this room right here. Sure, why not? Varicose veins is not super useful for us, but doesn't mean it's bad. I think that we are going to win, but I would say that this run veers a little closer to a loss than the average run at this point. We could go a long way towards mitigating that possibility. I really think, like, number 2 has hurt us. My own relatively poor play, like, for example, right there, has hurt us. No. But also, just a little bit, like, we've stalled out on damage. Rate of fire is good, but it's been 5 forever. You know, you kind of need both stats to feel comfortable. You can win with sometimes none of those stats working out in your favor, but there we go. We really needed that to not be a spider. You came through in the clutch. I appreciate it. Really trying to, like, I've been trying to advocate for, like as a soft ask right now, but I'm like, I don't really think we need this meal prep service anymore. I'll tell you what annoys me about it is that it advertises itself as convenient meals. Sometimes the bag says it takes 30 minutes to make a meal. Step 1, preheat your oven to 400 degrees. That takes 12 minutes by itself. So unless the next step is like, eat this sandwich we packed and turn off your oven, it's not going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be more like 40, 45. Again, not a major complaint, except if you're advertising your service as having, like, convenient meals, then it becomes something of a problem. It's not false advertising, but perhaps misleading would be a better word for it. I've been trying to simplify my meals in general. Like, I find that, like, I'm at my healthiest when I just have convenient, healthy food around me at all times that can be consumed, like, insanely quickly. So for breakfast, for the past couple of weeks, I've been having, like, almond milk, pea protein. Why did I get pea protein instead of whey protein? Look, okay, I live in the hipster, yuppie capital of Canada. One of the top 3 hippie, yupster... That's not how that works. Capitals in North America. Whey protein, you gotta have a license, okay? You gotta complete a skill testing question that's like, are you sure? Are you sure you don't have a gluten, lactose, celiac, sensitivity, you know, aren't you worried about your glycemic index, etc., etc.? So yeah, it's pea protein. But it's pretty good. And then, like, peanut butter. I shake it up, and dude, there's been, like, a healthy breakfast for the past couple of weeks. I've lost about 10 kilos of muscle mass, but still, hey, get out of here. And then you know, been having these, like, well, I've talked about it before, you know. I feel like I oscillate back and forth between being a millennial and... I wouldn't say hating millennials, but making fun of my own people millennials. Because, you know, in the last episode, I was like, toughen up, snowflake. And in this episode, I'm like, I have a vegetarian breakfast. And then for lunch, I have, like, a hummus and chickpea wrap with cucumbers and red onions. But that's been delicious as well. But, you know, I've talked about it. I've been trying to lower my meat consumption. And the thing is, you know, I've been lowering my meat consumption for environmental ethics, you know? Don't quote me on this, but I believe it takes 1 trillion liters of water to grow a single ounce of boneless chicken breast. Those numbers might be slightly inflated. But really, it's only to compensate for my prodigious almond milk usage, because I read something recently that was like, well, Kate was telling me that to make like a liter of, or a cup of almond milk takes like 15,000 gallons of water to create or something like that. Which explains why, after I drink almond milk, I just pee for hours and hours and hours. But yeah, I've been trying to simplify my food consumption, because like I feel like that makes it a lot easier to eat healthy. Because sometimes, I'll be honest with you, it's a little wasteful to have this meal prep service, because from time to time we look at the recipe and we go, I don't really want to spend 55 minutes cooking, like, you know, cod curry. So instead we're like, maybe we should just go out to eat. And then we're like, yeah, we'll go out to eat. And then when I'm out, I'm like, hey, yes, I will. Fries are absolutely fine. Let me out of here. This episode, I can tell, the longer an episode goes on, the more it veers into, like, real territory. This is a dangerous length of an episode right here. Because we're actually, I mean, I wouldn't say we're stalling, but it kind of seems like we're roughly at this pace for the rest of the game. That's dangerous. I don't know, I'll be talking about, you know, what happens after you die soon. Running out of dialogue. Don't want to get all my anecdotes out. I got like 8 hours of streaming after this. That's right, it's a Tuesday. In the interest of offending like as many people as possible, I do feel the need to point out, in the interest of full disclosure, I pre-purchased NHL 19 to get early access to it last night for 130 Canadian dollars. What does 130 Canadian dollars give you? Well, I get to put Wayne Gretzky on my EA NHL Ultimate Team and then basically style on people who were like, I'm not paying 130 bucks for that pre-order. I have gotten a lot of tweets from people. And I admitted to it because, you know, sometimes I like playing the heel. As much as I desperately need everybody to like me, sometimes I also like, you know, I like playing the heel a little bit. That should be obvious. But I had some genuine tweets from people that are like, you're ruining the gaming industry. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I understand there's a never pre-order sentiment. But hear me out here. Oh, I don't really have anything to defend myself with. But what I was going to say is, hear me out here. I'm going to buy it anyway. I'm gonna put money into the game anyway. Even if the reviews came out and they were like, NHL 19 is a 3 out of 10, I would be like, here's the thing, it's a captive audience. Once every few years, I get that desire that's like, I want to play a hockey video game, and there's only one option. Plus, if you really want to be mad at EA, let me run something by you. I'm going to make more money off of my NHL 19 purchase than I spent on the NHL 19 purchase to begin with. And on a fiscal level, having Wayne Gretzky on my second line on my Hockey Ultimate team will lead to 13.1% more wins, which will lead to a higher viewer engagement rate. I also, like, I don't know. I think there are some things that are potentially ruining the industry is not fair. But I guess I have different worries about the industry than other people, which is fair. You know, I'm in a different position, for better and for worse. Like, the things that I worry about killing the industry are not like people pre-ordering AAA video games or people buying microtransactions in video games, although I do think that if you have a problem with that, you know, you should vote with your wallet. The people I get most annoyed by are the people that are like, I hate microtransactions, and then they're like, but I really want Cammy's alternate costume, and they just buy it. Like, that's some self-loathing stuff right there, but I don't know. Other things that I look for is, like, potential, you know, negative parts in the industry. I don't know, the fact that there's a wide swath of people who think that, you know, if your video game costs $15, it should give them, like, unlimited entertainment, and, like, you know, narrative-based games have no place in a market where people, as their primary purchasing decider, are like, well, how many hours could I get for the amount of gameplay that's in this? You know, like that stuff. Or how about, you know, Steam sales, which are great for the consumer, devaluing the, or creating like a race to the bottom for indie games where people are like, I'm not going to buy that for 15 bucks because in a year I can just get it for 75 cents, even if it does look awesome, you know? Or how about, like, literally 60 games a day coming out on Steam, making discoverability really difficult? You know, stuff like that, that worries me more than, like, hey, this guy who was gonna buy a hockey video game pre-ordered the hockey video game. He didn't even wait to see what GameSpot gave it. You know, it's all, you know, it's relative, for sure. I mean, to be fair, thanks to my pre-order, EA is probably going to make another NHL game next year. And if I hadn't pre-ordered, there's about a 1 in 100 million chance that they might have been like, oh, project's unsuccessful. The relic! Thank you! We also got Triachnid, I think? Please. No bad item. Sharp Straw, that's a good item. Undefined? That's really bad right now. Oh, good, Cursed Eye. And Isaac's Tears. Oh, the whole gang's all here, everybody. Sharp Straw can give us Red Hearts, which can give us Spirit Hearts. I think that's where we go. Dude, straight up, my goal for this floor is to have enough HP for us to be able to just use orbitals against Blue Baby and feel good. I guess, again, I don't want it to be like another gaming industry episode. But hey, I didn't fire the first stone. People, they echo this advice that's like, you know, never pre-order. And I agree, like if you're pre-ordering, I think there's a few examples of when pre-ordering is not good, but is fine. One of which is when you know you're gonna buy the game anyway because there's no other option that fulfills the niche you got. If you watched a trailer for something at E3 and you're like, oh, I gotta get that, you should wait for reviews probably. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm like an actual adult. I'm closing in on being closer to 40 than I am to 20. I don't need like rules to govern my consumption of consumer products anymore. Like, I'm not worried about like showing my values to other gamers and being like, yeah, dude, I never preview. I'm more worried about like getting that Gretzky so I can more easily defeat 12-year-olds in the online version of the game. I hate to say it, okay? But, like, winning is really, really fun. Even if it's sort of an ill-gotten gain in the form of, like, it's not really an abuse, you know, but it is, you know, you're putting more money in it. I don't actually, like, in Ultimate Team, I don't really pay to win. I did pre-order, admittedly. So for, like, the first week, I'm Ultimate pay to win scum. But after that, like, I don't put any money into the cards because they're, you know, digital creations that I just don't care about. I'd rather spend my money on, like, you know, commodities. Get, like, a, you know, buy a government bond or something like that instead of 100 packs hoping to get a 99 overall Connor McDavid. But I do have to say, winning feels great. I'm gonna level with you. I think we're going to lose this run. So what I'm doing, I'm using my orbitals to do the most damage, which is very dumb. But I've unfortunately gotten myself a little screwed with Curse Die. So I'm just trying to make sure we don't get teleported. Come on. Oh, dude, we made the boss fight. Okay. So our dream... No! We're on the other side of the map. Disregard what I was about to say, which was that our dream is falling apart. We're definitely not able to just use orbitals. But you know what? Maybe this is like a nice punitive measure for us. We do our time on the rest of the floor. Working double time on the seduction line. And, please. Make it back. Have some HP when we get there. Very nice room. Okay. Keep it going. We can't bomb our way out of these rooms. You know these rooms are nasty, too. These guys are a real pain in the butt. Ooh, what did I tell you? Genuine pain in the butt right there. I think this will be our final. Oh! What's a man to do? Anyway, that's what I get for ruining the gaming industry. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. I'll see you next time. See ya!